Hello, hello. Hi, welcome back to Think Differently. I am so happy to see you here. Today is sort of a part two. Mainly I sort of left off last week. We were talking about money. Um, and there were a couple things I just could not squeeze in to our time together last week. So we're going to start by sort of picking up where we left off. Specifically why I don't do, or maybe it's better to say, like, I don't call the mindset work I do with my clients, I don't call it money mindset work. Most of it's just semantics, but I will just explain a little bit more about that. So we're going to pick up where we left off last time. But today we are talking, I gave the title today is how I coach my clients to think about money. And so we're going to talk through just a few of, I think, the biggest sort of themes that end up in my coaching calls with my clients and have over the years. And it's sort of just, I think, timeless challenges and belief systems and ways to think about things that not only help you get unstuck, but help you get exactly what you want, get whatever results it is that you want in your business, get you a healthy relationship with money, all the things that we want. So no matter where you are, whatever stage in business you're in, no matter what you're making and what your next income goal is, this will serve you. And these are things that I go back to over and over and over and over again with my clients, with myself, all the things. So if you're live, feel free to put questions in the chat. You'll be entered to win a free coaching session, a free mini coaching session. I draw these at the end of every month. And I also hold your name in the proverbial hat, or in the like virtual digital hat. So essentially what that means is if you put your name in 2 months ago, you might win this month's draw, right? Because your name is still in the hat until or unless you win. So just know that you may hear from me in a long time, or you might hear from me at the end of this week or tomorrow. Okay. Let me just quickly walk through what I promised and said that we would talk about today, and then I'm going to just dive in. Please share questions, comments, ahas as we go. So the first one is, this is the leftover from last week, why I don't do money mindset work, and more importantly, why I don't call it that. And I think it's just an important distinction. Again, maybe it's just semantics, but we're going to talk about it. Why I don't do money mindset work with my clients, and what I do instead that helps them shift long-held belief patterns that have been holding them back and lead to epic results and breakthroughs, money results and breakthroughs. And some of that is sort of the rest of the conversation today. So specifically, the two other things that I want to talk about today is, number one, the question I ask my clients when they're feeling stuck at a certain income level, or they're feeling like their money goals are really far away. It's a really, really important question that I ask them. And it's something that I often am even asking myself as a coach, kind of in my own brain, when I'm on a call with a client, to say, what's really going on here? Like, how can I help them? And then the third thing that I want to talk about is the belief that I try to instill in every single client. And I said that I, like, not so secretly try to instill it in every single client, 'cause every single one of my clients knows that I have said this to them. I'm sure I've said it to every single client I've ever had. But it's a belief that when we can believe it, when we can instill it in ourselves, it is such a game changer. It's a game changer for everybody I know that's getting epic results in business and life. And it has been a massive game changer for me specifically in my business, in my personal life, I think, but for sure, but most importantly, it's really, really helped me in my business. So that's all the stuff that we're going to dive into. I'm having a voice thing, so please excuse my throat clearing. I'm really sorry. I feel like it's just going to be, I'm going to cough for a second. I really feel like this is going to be, I used to have some cough drops in here. Give me just 1 second. Let me see if I can cough drop my way out of this. No, I think they're in the other room. Okay. Let's just do this. I will pause and come back if I need to cough drop myself. Okay, so if you've watched, you do not have to watch last week's, by the way, to get today. This is we're all talking about money. You can watch it in any order that you want to. Why I don't do my money mindset work, and I talked a little bit about this last time, so I will, you can always catch up on the replay from last week to hear more. But I think what I want to share here so that you don't have to go back is this. I am not knocking money mindset work. And I'm also not a coach that doesn't talk about money with my clients. Like we're literally here talking about money today. This is something that I talk with my clients about all the time. This is always something on the table, to talk about money, to talk about how we think about money, to talk about how we're feeling about money. Right? Like just because a client, and I think it's so, nobody believes me, but I can't tell you how many times I've had a client reach their money goals and then still not be happy with that goal or not be proud of themselves enough to validate their experience and to want to keep going. And I just think I know it's because our brains are not wired for success and risk taking, whatever that means to your brain. And sometimes when we accomplish our goals and make a good amount of money, and we're like, we think we want these goals because we think in the future that's going to make us happy. And yes, at some level, money makes us happy, and then at some level, it doesn't really make a difference. But I think what's really important here is when we do achieve a level of success, one, all of our problems do not go away. Two, we are still us, like everything is in some ways just the same. And we then start to we often discount what that means and if it's good enough and if we did enough or if we coulda, shoulda, woulda, or what have you, right? Insert your own belief system or challenge or personal charge here is. And so all of that is to say, I am talking with my clients all day, every day about their money results, about celebrating everything that they can because that's the process that we get there, about rewiring our brains to be proud of ourselves, to be celebrating the tiny wins, because that's how we get to the big wins. And then that's how the bigger wins feel better and feel good instead of, oh crap, now we just moved the goalpost, moving on. Because that's not a way to live. And the other thing is, most of business and most of life, but most of business is the in between, right? I set a goal and here's where I reach it. Most of business is in between, right? Most of business is not at that goal level. And so I think it's really important that if you want a business that's sustainable, if you want a business that you love and enjoy, we have to enjoy the entire process. We can't just wait until we achieve XYZ to enjoy it. So all that is to say, I talk a shit ton about money with my clients. And I am the person that most people feel comfortable bringing that shit to me, right? So that is absolutely on the table. Why I don't, it's really like, look, if you don't know me very well, I'm a contrarian. I am a rebel. I used to fight the status quo just to fight the status quo. That was the 20s and early 30s of me, of my life. But I think where I've landed on a healthier level of rebeldom, if you will, I just turned 50, but in my late 30s, 40s, and now 50s, where I've really landed on that is just because something is status quo, is common knowledge or common, practice or common advice or works for the masses, I just know in my soul and my bones, it does not mean that that's going to be for me. And so just because you deliver me, information that says, yes, most people should do this, so you should probably too. The old me was like, nope, I'm going to go do it another way just because I can. That's also a lot of work when you don't have to. Like sometimes this absolutely works, right? So that's so often what I'm working with clients on. I know I'm going around on a tangent, but I'm going to come back to this. That's so often what I'm helping my clients do is, we do have to build the business around you. We do have to have a strategy that fits you. We cannot be doing things that do not fit you. And also, that does not mean we recreate the wheel all the time. I'm constantly going, okay, here's what people are doing with this strategy. Let's take 80% of it and replicate it. And then let's take that remaining 20% and make it fit for you, right? So I'm not about heart. I'm not about extra work. I'm not about work for the sake of work. I'm not about making anything harder or recreating the wheel. But I don't like the word money mindset. And it's just not how I was trained, both in business and in psychology. It was not how I was trained to look at problems, right? In this case, mindset problems. And so you can listen to me and be like, Livingston, get over yourself. But I really do think, again, so I do a lot of money mindset work with my clients. Like if I just use the term loosely, like the rest of the industry does, I absolutely do. And I do it my way, and I think I do it differently than the mainstream money mindset coaches out there. And that's really what I want to talk about. And that's really the lesson here that I want you to take away, is this. Money mindset work is no different than other mindset work. Your beliefs about money, 9 times out of 10, especially the deep ones, they are not about money. Money is the symptom. The money belief is the symptom, right? Like I think it's so important to say, like, whatever your beliefs are, whatever you're working on around money, absolutely work on that. If you're working with me, bring it to me, bring it to your coach, bring it, right? Process that. But know that money isn't really the thing. It's just the symptom and the topic and the thing that creates the friction. What really, I always do it like this is the high level symptom that people walk into with, right? You do this in your work, right? Think about a doctor's office like a good doctor, right? A good diagnostician doctor. You bring them X, my head hurts. Okay, is it about your head or is it about something's going on with your heart or is it something's going on with the food you're putting in your body? Is it because you're not getting enough rest? Like, what is it that's causing that? Might or might not have to do with the head. Same here with money. I bet you $1 million that you have things that your clients walk in with. I always call it we always call it in consulting presenting problem. That you help, that's what their surface level problem is. And it's not that it's not the problem. It definitely needs to be fixed, right? If you've challenges with money and you're working with me, 100% that's going to be the focal point. And it might not actually be about money, right? What's underneath might be how you think about yourself, how you think about like being visible and being seen, because we do have to do that in order to bring in clients, right? It could be how you think about hard work. For me, it's like I'm always afraid of being overwhelmed. And so, because I have burnt out so many times before I started this business. And so, that's something I've had to always work towards of like, if I think something will overwhelm me, I have to kind of, I don't know, let's actually see if that is going to overwhelm me. Or is that just my first instinct? My first instinct is to be like, that feels like too much, right? And then I kind of find the middle ground of reality. So the source of your money challenges, the source of your money challenges and your belief systems around money is usually not about money itself. It's usually about yourself. It's usually about how you see the world. It's usually about how you see your power. It's usually about your confidence. It's usually about how you see yourself and what you see yourself as capable of. Okay. And so what I do instead is I really work with my clients. Now, I am not the kind of coach that sits around and diagnoses your childhood traumas, right? Like I laugh because I just feel like that's for a therapist. There's coaches that do like full on trauma, counseling and support. And that's not what I do. I'm a business coach. I am trauma informed. I've actually done a lot of crisis counseling. I almost became a therapist 3 times over my career. I've done a lot of deep work. And I also, by the way, used to be a hypnotherapist. Fun fact. That's how I started my business. I was a hypnotherapist for the first year and a half. Year only hypnotherapy. And then I started blending hypnotherapy and coaching. And then I let go of hypnotherapy and became a coach. All that is to say, like I'm very comfortable with the depth of sort of our backstories and our traumas and all of that. And when it's appropriate, when that comes up with my clients, I got you. I can hold you in that. And that's not the main reason people are coming to me, and that's not our main priority in working together. But I am always interested in not even so much of like, where does it come from, but like, what is the deeper belief system here? And how can we work that? Because if we're just working at the symptom level and how you think about money, it's only going to affect the money piece. And really, it's not even going to affect the money piece because it's a deeper level. It's about you and how you see yourself 9 times out of 10. So I hope this is making sense. Let me know if it's not. There's many, many, many ways to do that. And there's many ways that I do that. And usually that just comes out of an organic conversation with my clients. And we talk through what's happening. And then we find, I'm very big on practical action. So we find what the business needs that then matches this mindset piece. And a lot of times I'll have a client all the time. My clients walk away with a homework assignment every session. Then we will find an action or 2 or 3 that, one, help them to start operating in the way that this new belief system serves, and then also what the business needs. Anyway. But the one thing that I want to share, there's millions of ways we can do this, but one that I think is so helpful is Carolyn Elliott. She has a book called Existential Kink. I think that book is so fabulous. It's all based in psychology. It's also incredibly like confronting and cutting edge and not for everybody. So I'm not exactly recommending that book. I only recommend that book specifically to people who it fits for. But I love her exercise. You can Google it. It's called the Fear Inventory. But essentially what she talks about is we don't get, and this is all like how your subconscious mind is in charge of everything. We don't get what we say we want, right? So if you're working towards your first 10K month, or you're working toward consistent 10K months, you're working towards consistent 20K months, right? Whatever it is that you're working towards, $100,000 a year, $200,000 a year. If that's what you're working towards, whatever your goal is, that's what you say you want, right? And you do want it. There is a part of you that 100%, there's a huge part of you that wants it. But if you're stuck, right? Because this is what we're talking about here. If you're stuck, or if you're having a hard time getting there, or if it just feels like a million miles away, one, go back to our conversation last week about money goals. Sometimes our money goals are too big and we don't give ourselves milestones to celebrate and to track from. And that can be incredibly helpful. I am not the coach. Side note, stealing from last week. I'm not the coach who's going to tell you, take whatever if 10K months are your thing you're working for. Now we're working towards 100K months. Like, I just don't believe the nervous system cannot handle that. Do I believe you can make 100K months? 100%. I believe you can do anything you fucking want. Anything you want. And I'm so here to help you get there, and I will help you get there. There's practical ways we can get you there, right? And we need to have achievable goals that also feel a little stretchy, so that we can get there. So if we're going for 100K months, great, we're first going for 10K months, but we know we're going for 100K months. And there's just a totally different mindset around that and safety around that. Because when we push ourselves I'm all about pushing you out of your comfort zone, but not 14 steps outside of your comfort zone. That's dysregulating. It's just dysregulating. And I think, yeah, I'll hold that. Go back to last week. So if we don't get what we say, we want, right? So Carolyn Elliott would say, let's go back to like you're working towards consistent 10K months. You don't get what you say you want. What you say you want is 10K months. You get what you really want. You don't get what you say you want, you get what you really want, or you get what you actually want, I think is her quote. So that's the subconscious mind at play, right? What you actually want is something that your brain thinks will keep you safe. So your brain is trying to keep you safe from this 10K months, which is hilarious and ridiculous because we know that 10K months are not dangerous. They are wonderful. They are expansive. They are abundant. They are, I always, by the way, I think the reason that the industry has picked 10K months is because it is kind of a level at which your money situation really dramatically changes. And I do think that is life-changing money. I do think, I just do. Um, so I think that's why, where are we going? So let's use that. That's also, that's why that's such a great example, right? That is such a sustainable amount of money for most places where you live in the world. Um, I used to live in San Francisco, so for me, the money, and now I live in Honduras, where the cost of living is so much cheaper, and so like it's all very relative. But if we if our brains are trying to protect us from success and 10K months and things that are actually good, right? You can see so quickly how it's like that's why it's a little bit of a mind fuck, or it's a big mind fuck. And so if your brain is trying to protect you from that, your job is to figure out what your brain's trying to protect you from. What is it that, right? And this is all subconscious, so it's sometimes it's not as obvious to you, but it's usually just sitting there right below the surface. I'll use myself as an example. I burned out in high school. I went to a very high pressure, smart private high school. I'm a very smart person, and I was like very average there. Um, it was so hard. It was so hard that when I finally went off to college, it was like so easy. And like I just had such an easy time being in college. That's how hard high school was, right? Like most people like have a fairly easy time in high school, at least the people that I know back in the day. And then they go to college and it's harder. That was not my experience. High school was the hardest. I have a master's degree too, and high school was harder than my master's degree. Um, and so I burnt out there, or whatever you want to call that. And then I burnt out several times over the course of my corporate career where I was doing consulting. Sometimes I was traveling every week to go to a client site. Um, Burnt out, overwhelmed, overbooked, overworked, overstressed, over capacity, over responsibility, right? Oh, and I also like didn't have the self-confidence that I do now. I didn't know how to say no. I didn't know how to set good boundaries. I set some, I learned how to do that some, but right. So like I also didn't, I could have protected myself a little better, and I didn't know how. I was still learning. So enter me starting a business. Did I want the consistent K months, 10K months when I was working towards that? Yes. And what did I really want? I really wanted to have that protection from not being overwhelmed. I wanted to be 100,000% sure that I was not going to be overworked and stressed out. And so that was the rub for me, right? Because those two are in conflict. Not that you can't make 10K months without the overwhelm and that's what I'm doing right now. Like have a comfortable salary, a comfortable income and comfortable pace of working. But my brain didn't know that because our brains, our subconscious minds especially, learn from experience. My subconscious brain had so years of evidence that nope, actually, when we make money and when we have work, AKA a lot of clients or a solid amount of clients, we're overwhelmed and we're stressed and we don't want that. So fuck you. We're not doing it. Right. So that was what my brain had. And that was my challenge. So why I don't do money mindset work with my clients and call it that. Again, I'm not knocking that. It's just really semantics and me being a little bit of a rebel, but I think it's helpful to understand my approach as a coach, but also the learning for you here is if you're doing money mindset work and it's not working, maybe you need to dig a little bit deeper, or maybe you need to take a belief system that you already know you have, that you're already working on, and just go, hey, how does this relate to money? How does this relate to my belief about money? How does this relate to what I think I can accomplish? How does this relate to what I think I can bring in? How does it relate to what I think I can receive? How does it relate to what I can hold? How does it relate to what I allow myself to spend? That's all you need to do. That's it. Okay, let me just see if there was something else I wanted to say about this. Let me know if you have questions. Okay. So let me just quickly go back to what did I say? So we talked about why I don't do money mindset work with my clients. And now we're going to talk about things that we do instead, which we already started talking about. Okay, so the next one is the question I ask my clients when they're feeling stuck at a certain income level or if they feel like their goals are far away. And that is, what is staying at this level protecting you from? Right? So following the Carolyn Elliott, we don't get what we say we want, we get what we actually want. This is kind of like a question around. And the fear inventory, Carolyn Elliott's fear inventory, I think is really helpful to dig into what are those things, like what are those things that are that I'm afraid of? Like I'm afraid of success is essentially what it's saying. So why am I afraid of success? Because I think it will come with this, right? In my example, I think it will come with not just hard work. I'm willing to do hard work, but overwhelm of hard work. And then I just can't get myself out of that cycle and I've committed to not doing that. So I guess I just will sit in this, right? Like lower than my potential amount of earning just to keep myself safe from wonderful success, right? So what does staying at this level protect you from? So that's your homework assignment. That's your journal prompt for the day. It's so interesting. And there's other ways you can ask that. So if that feels like weird, just go edit that sentence and make it work for you. It could be, I really want 10K months and I'm afraid that ... And I'm afraid it will come with ... And I'm afraid that to get there, I'll have to sell my soul. And I'm afraid that to get there, I will burn out. And I'm afraid that once I get there and I do have money and people know that I have money, then my family members will come at me and try to get that money, right? Like, and then I'll have to say no and then I'll have to set boundaries and I don't want to have to set boundaries. So it's really just easier and safer to stay at below 10K. See where that comes, right? Okay. So let me give you a couple of other examples. You got to find your space, but so often what you are protecting yourself from is really about what you think it will come with or what you think you have to do to get it. Not always, but those are two like easier ones to crack. Yeah, I'll hold this. I'm gonna make sure I say this. Hold on. Okay. So here's a couple of things that I'm just going to rant on a few examples that I've seen in my clients. Maybe one of these will resonate for you. Oftentimes what we are protecting ourselves from is being seen, right? So many people are talking about, we just have to get visible, blah, blah, blah. Like, yes, you do. That is how we market ourselves. We need to be visible enough to let people know about who we are, what we do, how we can help them. And women over forever, centuries, have learned, it is baked into us that in so many ways being seen is literally dangerous, and it has been in the past. And so that's a big one for a lot of people. I know people that do visibility coaching, like that's literally their only focal point because it's that big. So most likely all of us have a little bit of that in them. That's really, really important one, because if you are protecting yourself from being seen, right? If that is what success will give you, either once you get successful, you'll be seen and you'll be seen in holding that money, or you'll be seen in your brightness. Hello, right? That's confronting for so many people. You will be seen as the expert that you are. You will be seen as powerful. You will be seen at, right? All the things that you will be seen as. Holy crap, sometimes that's scary. Even if you know you have it in you, even if you're going to get there anyway, even if, right? This is all about just making that easier, the mindset piece of it. But then also getting there. What do you think you're going to have to do to get there, right? That's where I feel like some people, this one's not mine, but like, like I'll have to sell my soul in order to get there. Like I'll have to be on social every 5 minutes and my whole life is going to be on social and I'll have no privacy and I'll have trolls, right? Like, and I'll get negative comments on social media or what have you. And that being seen is really, really confronting to the point where many people will fight so hard to keep themselves safe by not being seen. And when you're not seen, it's really hard to market and make clients and make the money that you want. Similarly, I think a lot of it is fear of dislike, being disliked. Right? So it could be, I'm scared of posting my thought leadership on social media because what if I get hate for that? It could be fear of dislike, fear of being disliked by your audience. I know for me, I have one of the things I'm really proud of, and one of the things that's been a huge reason for my success is that I have done a really good job of I have an audience that is really loyal, really knows who I am, really aligns with my values and cares about what I have to say. And so more importantly, so many of them, because I have done so much networking over the years, so many of them all literally know me. They actually know me. We've had a one-on-one coffee chat, or we've gone to coffee in physical form back when I lived in San Francisco, or we've worked together in some capacity. I really know a large number of my audience, even if it's a little bit, like even if we've just had a couple of interactions. And so that one sometimes can come up for me of like, I'm saying something that I know some of my audience, because I know them. I know some of my audience is thinking right now, or I know that they're putting out thought leadership that says X, but I believe Y, and I'm going to say that. And I have to say that. But I do worry a little bit sometimes about being disliked, or just like disenfranchising or affecting that relationship. So I think that's a really good one. But it comes in all shapes and sizes. Being disliked, like I don't know about you, but I don't want to be the kid on the playground that everybody's making fun of, or talking about behind our back, right? It is a little kid vibe. I mean, adults don't want to be disliked, and like in caveman, cavewomen days, like, if you were disliked, you were shunned from the community, and like you were literally out in the desert or the mountains or wherever, like getting your own foot. Like it did take a village very much to live back then. And so that's also in our DNA. And so also just, we can't, please don't make yourself wrong about any of this stuff. It's really just, oh, wait, that's where it is. That's just my work. Yeah, another one I find is about like what you can hold. So if 10K months feels like a lot of money, or if let's just pretend that that's 10 clients, right? I'm just going to do the simple math. Let's say you've got 10 clients at $1,000 a month each. That's 10K. Great. What's your belief system around holding 10 clients at a time, right? Does that feel like too much? It might actually be too much if you're like an OBM or a web designer and you're doing big projects, right? Like literally that's probably too much. But just to say, what is your belief system about what that is? Because I think so often, like the question I'll ask myself is, can I hold that? Can I hold that? Can I hold 10 clients? Like for me, and their emotions and their businesses and their strategies. And, can I hold that? Can I hold the responsibility that is mine? Can I hold the responsibility of paying my team every single month? Can I hold the responsibility of doing what my business needs to do to keep going so that all my clients continue to be supported, and also so that I'm doing my marketing like I'm doing this today? And so I think that, can I hold that responsibility? Can I hold that much money? Can I hold that many people? Can I hold that level of visibility? Can I hold, right? What is it that you feel you will need to hold either to get there or once you're there? And is that what's confronting? That's often something that we need to work towards. And that's really one about reality, right? Like for me, the overwhelm, I often will go back, like I have a little spreadsheet that shows me how many clients. I've worked through this a lot actually in the last couple of years in terms of, and part of the reason that my business has grown is because I've opened up like actual time on my calendar, but also space for myself to be able to literally serve more clients. And it's not overworking, and it's not overwhelming, and it's not these things because some of it's very practical, right? Like how I manage my time, delegating certain things to my team, those kinds of taking certain things off my plate. But that has been an exercise that I've been working on because my definition of what's fully booked 2 years ago is smaller than what I'm holding now and what I will continue to hold in terms of what's fully booked for me now. And that's in such large part to, yes, the practical, but the mindset that I have around what that actually feels like. And what I was trying to say a minute ago is I actually have a spreadsheet of like, these are the hours that I dedicate to my clients if I have this many clients. These are the hours that I dedicate to my clients if I have this many clients. This is how many hours I will then have available for marketing when those client box spots are full, right? It's like going back and doing the math, like the calculator math for my brain. That's what my brain needs. When I'm like, am I going to open up another spot? One, I'm going to talk about that with my coach and get her support and helping me make the right decision so that I'm not actually overwhelmed, but also so that I don't protect myself from pretend overwhelm when that actually doesn't exist. But then I also do the math, and that is it is so helpful for my brain to be like, oh yeah, that's right. It's safe for me to open up an extra spot. Oh, that's right. It's safe for me to do this. And then I get excited. Who's my next new client? Who am I going to meet? Right? Like, but my overwhelm is going to rule that if I don't take care of it. And so that's my mindset work. And again, the holding piece I think is really helpful. I feel like there's like a major behind me. The holding piece I think is also really helpful because that really often comes to money, right? What does it mean about me if I can hold 10K every single month? Like, where is that? Do I know where that money is going to go? Do I know how that's like, am I the kind of person that can hold 10K per month? Not just make, but hold. So I think that responsibility level and what you're holding, I think can be a lot. I think I generally, on this one, I tend to find people in one of two buckets. One is a little bit like me in the I've already burnt out. I'm not going to fucking do that again. And we have to work towards honoring that part. And absolutely, I'm never going to do that again to myself. And also, I know that if I have an overwhelming week, I can also just handle it and it's okay. And so finding the balance there is really important. And then I think the other people that I work with that have a similar vibe around this, but it's different, is they are already used to tolerating and holding so much. And the answer for them is not necessarily that they need to hold more, right? That is actually, like, practically speaking, if we pull out that calculator and we look at my little spreadsheet, like, that is not the answer, right? And I'm especially thinking of my clients. So many of my clients are high achievers, but they don't necessarily call themselves that. But they are holding so much. They are holding their children and their families. They are holding the business and their teams. They are holding their clients. They are holding, I don't know, like their friendships and community volunteer work and all the things. And when you are a person with a big life and when you are a person that holds a lot, your tolerance level of that gets sometimes so strong to a point that we don't take care of ourselves. Or that we just think we're always supposed to hold. And so then if you bring in the extra months, the 10K, the 20K, the whatever months that you want, yearly revenue that you want, maybe your tolerance level is I'm used to holding it, but also that just means there'll be more, right? Like now I've just got one more thing to hold versus, oh, that money will enable me to not have to hold so much and to create extra space for myself because I can use some of this money over here to whatever, delegate to teams, get somebody to drive my kids to soccer practice or whatever, if that's something that, I don't know if that's the thing, because I think actually I have some clients that are like, no, I am going to be the one to drive my kids to soccer practice because I love those conversations in the car. So whatever it is that you want. Yeah, and then one more thing, which I think is just like doing hard stuff or doing stuff that we think is hard, right? So if I think that my next level of income comes with a whole lot of hard stuff or shit I don't want to do, that doesn't sound that great to me. Like I can see how my subconscious mind would protect me from that, right? Like it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. So again, back to the question, what is staying at this level? This is your journal prompt. This is your homework. What is staying at this level protecting you from? And if you have any challenges with that, think about it from the perspective of what do I think I have to do to get there? Is there something I want to protect myself from there? Or once I'm there, what makes me nervous about that? What am I afraid of there? What do I think that is going to come with? What negative thing? What thing that I don't want? What is going to come with that money that I don't want? And then you know what your work is. The thing I want to say about this is the thing I was saying a minute ago I wanted to write down. I think it's so important to share this, and I think this is also today's topic is about how I coach my clients to think about money. This is also how I coach my clients to do any sort of mindset work. One of the ways. I think, how do I want to say this? Because I don't disparage the coaching industry. I am a very full-fledged member of the coaching industry. I love the coaching industry. I'm so grateful for it. Because I tried to be a therapist millions of times and that didn't fit me. And the reason was because I needed to be a coach instead. And there's a big distinction. And I love the coaching industry and I'm so grateful. I said this last time. I'm so grateful for the coaches that taught us the term money mindset because one, I certainly hadn't heard of that before I entered the coaching space. And I think it's so important, especially for women. We have to pay attention to how our brains are thinking about money, especially if we want to make it, and make whatever we want, because that's really like, you've got infinite amount of money that you can make in your business. So, and I also think some of the mainstream advice in the coaching industry about mindset work, money mindset work, limiting beliefs is that your job is to heal it. Or my favorite, the thing that I'm the most annoyed by is the term clear. It just implies so many like magical things. Look, I'm all about energy and all of that stuff, but I think it's just it sounds like, like I'm gonna like tap you with my magic wand and you will no longer be worried about overwhelm. I don't mean to sound negative, but like I will probably deal with overwhelm as a belief system my whole life, but it has gone from being this big to this big. And that's my job. It's just not driving my business anymore. That's the job. That's the work. It's just not that big of a deal. I don't need to clear it. And if I do one day just never have problems with it, great. But the message I want you to hear. So what I think the mainstream mindset work coaching industry tells us is that we need to go down here. Basically, women, this is one more problem you have to solve about yourself because you're not good enough and you need to keep improving. And I just won't have it. That we need to go down here and solve our problems and spend all of our time solving our mindset problems. And when we're perfect, then we can make the money we want, then we can do the thing, then we'll be acceptable, then we'll be worthy, right? Like, and I say this very like tongue in cheek, like I'm being dramatic for a reason, but I do think that so much of the mainstream coaching industry messaging is this kind of in this ballpark. And I think it's so damaging and it puts women on a place of great, well, I have to go solve all my mindset problems first before I can be successful. And you will just be doing that for the rest of your life. And I'm just not about that. That's one of the reasons, by the way, that I left hypnotherapy when I did. I love hypnotherapy. I think it's so, so, so powerful. But I, as the therapist, was put in the position where all day, every day, what I was doing is trying to find the thing underneath, just like we talked about. It's not the symptom, it's the thing underneath. And I love that. And we do want to find that. But that just put me in a place where we were just constantly looking for problems and the source of the problems and tweak and understanding that. What I'm interested in as a coach is great. Now that we know that, what are we doing? And we're just spending most of our time on great. Now that we know that, what are we doing? Now that we know that, how can we keep working on that? Now that we know that, how can we journal about that twice a week and just get back to work, right? Because the practical action our brains learn from experience, the practical action is very much how I believe that we make change. And that's just where I want to spend my time. I think we need to spend more of our time on what we do well and how to get out there and do the thing and practice and get better at it than going back to the past and diving in and solving our problems. And also that has a place. Like I have a therapist, I'm working on some of that family of origin stuff right now. Like that has a place. And also that's not how I'm growing my business. That's just a thing I'm working on in my personal life to make me feel better and to process through some things. Does that make sense? So overall here, what I want you to know, how I think about mindset work, and how I want you to be able to think about mindset work differently and why we do it, is that we don't need to heal it. We don't need to clear it. We just need to reach a tipping point. We just need to shift it enough that you catch the thought periodically. Oh, okay. Oh, crap. That feels overwhelming. Oh, wait. Is that really overwhelming? Hold on a minute. Let me pull out my little spreadsheet calculator and do the math. Is that overwhelming? And then I can just make a good decision about opening up another spot. And then that's just the answer. And then I just move on, right? We just want to get to that kind of a space where we can catch the thought. We can bring it to our coach. We can work that through. We can go, oh, this feels confronting, not to like diminish the work, but that it doesn't keep us from doing the business, enjoying our lives, all the things, making money. And also the tipping point another way to look at it is like, if all you need to do is a tipping point, then you just need to work that enough that your desire for the thing, in this case, the 10K months, your desire for the 10K months is greater than what you're afraid of. And that when you can really sit with that, and that is true, not just what you're telling your brain to feel, but that it actually feels true in your bones, in your body, in your mind, in your heart. That's when that tipping point happens. That's when you start taking the actions that get you there, right? That you were afraid to take because you didn't want to be seen, or because you didn't want to be overwhelmed, or you didn't want to blah, 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 whatever the thing is you're trying to protect yourself from. That's when we can really start to take that action. And again, as I said a minute ago, I'm also not sit down, think about it, wait till you're resolved and feel great and perfect and your mind is good, and then you take the action. No, we sit down and think about it. We identify what it is. We identify the action that would be oh my God, there's a word for this. Holy crap, there's a word for it. It's not coming to me. But we take the opposite action, right? We take the action that the business needs, that is confronting our mindset, but that supports us in being the person that we want to be now and believing the thing that we want to believe instead. We take that action, and then our mind starts to catch up. And I think that's what a lot of the coaching industry misses around that's actual. I've been joking with my coach, like, what do I do? I'm an actual coach. Like, I actually do coaching. And then you get to a point where that percentage, it's like, what I want is bigger than what I want to protect myself from, than like the thing that I don't want, that I think will come with it, or that I think I'll have to do to get it there. Okay, and then I have one more thing that I want to share. Let me know if you have questions. And this is the last one. I think I've done several lives on this. I'm just going to keep this one short, but I think it just helps to round out today's conversation. So the belief that I not so secretly try to instill in every single one of my clients, because it's such a game changer for the people who I know who are getting epic results, and it's been a huge game changer for me, is you just get to have what you want. You get to have what you want, right? And Carolyn Elliott would say, you really get to have what you want, because your subconscious mind isn't going to let you get what you say you want. It's only going to let you get what you actually want, right? But the belief system that I have worked to instill in myself is that I can have what I want. I think as women, we've been taught that we can't, right? Or that we have to try to get it from someone else. And again, there's really good practical historical reasons for why we've been taught that. But despite what's going on in the world, most of us still absolutely have the power to create what we want. And I think when we don't see that as truth, I don't even want to say we hold ourselves back, but we're just keeping our lives small. And I know that you want a big life. I know that you want whether it's big or happy or calm or joyful or fulfilled, whatever kind of life you want, that shit just is going to hold you back from that. There's no reason for it. Nobody's actually keeping you from it anymore, especially if you're a business owner. It's one of the reasons why I love this so much. So Women have been taught that we don't get to have what we want. We have especially been taught, if you've been in my world for a while, you've heard me say this. We've also been taught that we shouldn't ask for what we want, right? And that plays out in business so often around asking, pitching people, pitching opportunities for speaking engagements, making someone an offer on a sales call because we think it's not okay to ask for what we want because we've been taught that. It's not that we made that up in thin air, out of thin air. It's literally practically been baked in to us, and that it's not safe to ask for what you want, but it is now. It is in this moment. And that's the mind fuck. That's the work. That's the thing that we have to keep working on. But the belief that I'm always just hammering into all of my clients, asking them questions around, do you think you want 10K months? Do you think you just don't get to have that? Or do you think you get to have that? And what evidence do you have in your brain that says you get to have that? You get to have that because you fucking want it. That's the only evidence that you need. But I want to stand for, and I feel so strongly about this belief system that you get to have what you want. Because if you don't think that you get to have what you want, right back to Carolyn Elliott, back to the subconscious mind, it's all based on Carl Jung, Jungian psychology, by the way, then you won't get what you want. Because you've already decided that you're not going to get what you want. And your subconscious mind is like a very, it's like a puppy, but it's like a very well-behaved puppy. It's like, oh, we want this, but we really don't because we're scared of it. Great. I got you. I'll do whatever you want. Sit. You want me to sit? Okay, I'll sit. Right. So that's what we want to shift. And so often I think that like underlying, like, oh, I just don't think I can have what I want. Okay, so how can we work on that? So you get to have what you want. It's okay. And also you get to ask for what you want. And then with that, I think it's also important to say you can expect and have an expectation that you will get what you want. And that's almost sometimes for me, like even that next level. It's like, do I believe I can have what I want? Yes. Okay, but do I think it needs to come with hard work? Okay, but do I think it's going to take me a long time to get there, right? A lot of times we'll set a goal and we'll be like, well, yeah, we won't get there for another year. And I think sometimes when we shift it to also adding in that, like, and I just expect that I'm going to get what I want, it sort of starts to imply like, or you can add this to it. I expect that I'm going to get what I want and I expect that I'm going to get it now. We're in short order. Right. And that just sort of brings it back to less pie in the sky, less future, less someday. Sure, I believe that someday I can accomplish whatever this thing is. Sure. And then it just sort of feels loose. But when we're like, no, I can have what I want, I'm going to ask for what I want, and I expect to get it, and I expect to get it in short order, then it's more of what we talked about last week, which is then it's like you're making a decision, which is so different than I have this wish and I hope and think that maybe one day it'll happen. It's just a completely different vibe. And your subconscious mind hears that. Okay, my friends. I hope this was helpful. I'm working on my topics for next month. I think the 6th, I think it's the 6th. That is the next one. Let me just quickly tell you. If you have questions, yes, the 6th. If you have questions, about today, please just hit reply to if you're on the replay, just hit reply to the email that sends you this. Let me know what questions you have. Let me know what insights you have. If you have a request for a topic, I absolutely do take requests. And sometimes your questions become a topic. So know that you get to ask for what you want. If you have a question, please don't hold back. And also know that you will be paying that forward for other people. And help me land. Sometimes I just need to make a decision. So I don't know what we're talking about next month, but it's going to be a good one. And I will see you then. If you are interested, I always forget to say this, if you're interested in having a coach that holds you in these kinds of conversations, but also then has the background and of the strategy and the practical to help you then put this into action and get the 10K results or the 100K results or the 20K results that you want. I would love to support you. I do have one spot open still technically for August. It might be gone by the end of the week. I've got a couple people that are eyeing that spot. I've already sold one spot for September, but I do have at the moment one more still available for September. And then after that, we're looking at October start dates. So if you're interested in working to meet together, either inside a 1 week intensive or a 6 month coaching partnership, either way, just hop on a free discovery call with me. I call it a coaching consultation. And now is a good time to have that conversation so that if you want like the October date, then I can put you in there. If you want, if you're still, if you're not looking for something right away, it's always a good idea to have a conversation with me earlier. And then I can essentially waitlist you as soon as we know what the next level of spots are going to be. I definitely do plan ahead. So you don't have to be ready now. And you also can be ready now. Like I said, technically I still have those spots available for August. And I am considering opening up one more spot in addition to what I just said. So I don't know yet if that would be August, adding to August or adding to September, but I'm having that conversation right now with myself to process through my availability and what I have capacity for. Know that if I open up that spot, it's because I thought it through to 10. And it really does mean I have that spot. So I will not be overwhelmed by you. So all that is to say, if you're interested in working together now or later, it's a really good time to hop on a call, start that conversation, start thinking through things, and then we can sort of pick start dates whenever you're ready. Okay, my friends, I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you next time.